Okay, welcome back on Cut with Jay Cutler. Today, kind of excited about this one. We have alien expert Nick Pope. He ran the British government's UFO project, and now he's recognized as the world's leading expert on the unexplained. Ministry of Defense from 85 to 2006. He's written some books. He's all over, documentaries, movies. He's basically the world expert on aliens and UFOs. So don't know where you land on this. Going to have some questions for him. I read that he's never seen one in person, which I don't know. Maybe it's a good or a bad thing. Not sure. But I haven't either. But as I'm going to talk to him about, the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. The universe is 14 billion. It's ever expanding. So I don't know. There could be a lot of stuff out there. There could be nothing out there. I'm pretty sure he's going to say that there's going to be some stuff out there. And, with all the 60 Minutes and all the documentaries and everything that's kind of been coming out the last couple of years, pilots, astronauts, we've got video of things flying around at speeds we can't even fathom. It's hard to say that there's nothing else. And also, he's one of the world's leading experts on conspiracy theories. So we're going to ask about some of those. JFK, chemtrails, the Denver airport. Don't know if anyone knows about that. Illuminati. So this should be fun. This should be a fun one. And he's British, so he's going to have a cool accent. So we're definitely going to take him seriously that way. Let's do this. We've got Nick Pope. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks. Great to be on the show.
You were you're the British government's. You were on the UFO project. You've written books. You've been on videos, movies. Like you've kind of done everything in the UFO and alien scene. It sounds like.
Yes, I won't say I've cornered the market on it, but I've certainly, as you say, I've been on a lot of things, and I've been doing this, I guess, for a while now. And my goodness, what a fascinating time to be in this subject. It really does seem, in the last few years, to have gone from fringe to mainstream. It seems everyone's talking about it now.
There really is. Where are you located now?
I'm in Tucson, Arizona.
Okay. But you grew up in Europe, correct?
Yes, in London, England, and my Ministry of Defense career was done from the Ministry of Defense headquarters building in Whitehall, right opposite 10 Downing Street. So yeah, from the heart of the establishment in the UK to Tucson in the great state of Arizona.
Did you grow up interested in UFOs and aliens and all that stuff, or how did that evolve for you?
Well, it's interesting. Actually, no, I didn't. I had no interest in UFOs. I guess I had, when I was a kid, I'd seen the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but I guess everyone pretty much had.
Yeah.
No, I really had no interest or involvement in this until I was just assigned to that particular post as my next government job. I mean, it was amazing. It was like one moment I was briefing senior Air Force officers on visits to military establishments and dealing with aircraft crashes and things like that. And then for the next, they said, "Do you want to do UFOs for the next 3 years?" And I said, "Fine."
Really?
I guess, yeah, I was headhunted into it, but really, as I say, no prior interest or beliefs in it, and just really it was right place, right time. That particular thing became available at the time I was due for a move, so that was it.
That's crazy. So you investigated reports of UFO sightings. Is that essentially what you did for the government?
Yes, I had to look at anything that was reported in our airspace where we couldn't figure out what it was. And sure, most of these things did turn out to be misidentifications of all the objects and phenomena that people do occasionally see and maybe misidentify. So aircraft lights, meteors, satellites, weather balloons, that sort of thing. But over the years, consistently, we had a reasonable proportion of these things that we could explain. And what really intrigued us, and I have to say, actually concerned some of us, was when our own pilots, for example, were seeing these. And simultaneously, they were being tracked on radar. And of course, in the last few years, this has come to the fore with the release of those famous US Navy videos. But for years, who've done this within government knew that this sort of thing's going on all the time.
Yeah, I mean, like you said when we first started, like there's been so much interest and the pilots now coming forward and the videos of these objects in the air and doing crazy things and flying around so fast like that. So you guys knew about that whenever you were working for the British government? Yes,
we did. We'd had our own military pilots and some commercial airline pilots. And very often, these people who are, of course, perfectly placed to do things like estimate speeds. These people were telling us the speeds, the maneuvers, the acceleration was like nothing they'd ever seen before.
Yeah.
And I know this is a more recent case, not one I investigated, but one of those US Navy videos that everyone's talking about. There was a great quote by one of the pilots where he basically turned around and said, "I don't know what it was, but I want to fly one."
That is a good quote. A really good quote. I mean, can that be explained? But I mean, is there something that the government has that we just don't know about? Is it UFOs? Is it aliens? I mean, do we have any idea?
We don't have a definitive answer quite yet. And of course, there are lots of theories flying around, if you'll excuse the pun. Some people say maybe this is some US black project technology. Yeah. And that maybe it's a case of left hand, right hand, somebody's operating it, I don't know, the Air Force testing it against the Navy, something like that. Other people say, well, maybe it's a foreign adversary like Russia or China. Maybe they've made a quantum leap development. And other people say, no, it's something else, maybe something extraterrestrial. And of course, that's why right now the US Congress is looking at this, and it's fascinating. They wrote into the new defense bill multiple provisions on this that say that the US military, so the Pentagon and the intelligence community must work together now to try to get to the bottom of this and tell Congress and hopefully tell the American people just what's going on in eyes.
Yeah, how much, whenever you were with the British government, were there certain things that, you guys couldn't talk about that wasn't released? I mean, are there things that you still can't talk about?
Yes, that's right. I mean, a lot of it is still classified, not because we've got, as some people think, spaceships hidden in Air Force hangars somewhere. Yeah. I mean, maybe they have, but if they have, they didn't tell me. But I think it's more that very often discussing this in too much detail gives away your own capabilities, like how good are our radar systems, how good are our military satellite, that sort of thing. But talking of satellites, what is interesting in trying to get to the bottom of the debate about whether this is Russia, China, or something else, even people like former Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, and former President Obama, former CIA Director James Woolsey. These are the sorts of people that have started talking about this recently. And what's great about it as well is that this isn't a partisan issue, because we've got now Republican senators and Democrat senators putting their heads together on this and getting together and saying, in the Senate Intelligence Committee, in the Armed Forces Committee, saying we need to solve this.
Yeah. If you exercise weekly, or if you're an active person, you've probably learned the importance of recovery. It's not enough that we just went to work out. Our body needs to be fueled with natural, organic proteins and nutrient-dense superfoods. Those are life's building blocks. The The most elite athletes in the world achieve this through personal chefs and dietitians. For the rest of us, we can do the same thing at a fraction of the cost. Organifi makes all natural, organic superfood and protein blends that are just perfect for active gym goers. Their green juice is great for lowering cortisol and enhancing recovery. And their red juice has proteins that are all great for supporting energy. The Complete Protein is a plant-based shake with 20 grams of protein, and it's also a multivitamin, all made with whole food ingredients. Your body will reward you for treating yourself like the king or queen that you are. The best part is they all taste absolutely fresh and delicious. Go to www.organifi.com/Cutler and use code Cutler for 20% off your order. That's ORGANIFI.com/Cutler and use code Cutler for 20% off any item. But I don't know if we can solve it. If there's UFOs flying around at speeds that we can't even fathom, it seems like their technology might be a little bit better than ours.
Yes, that's absolutely. You can't make too many assumptions about aliens, but that assumption is absolutely, because to get here from other star systems, when we've only just taken a few baby steps into our own solar system, absolutely requires technology orders of magnitude above and beyond anything we've got. So that's why it's kind of worrying. If these things are running rings around our best fighter jets and flying dangerously close to nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, other critical national infrastructure in the U.S., it's no wonder that everyone's agitated about this now.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, were you guys looking into? I mean, have you looked into abductions and people claiming that they've had first interactions with aliens? Did you ever dive into that world as well?
We looked at it. Yes, you can't run a UFO program without getting drawn into all the other kind of weird and wonderful stuff, alien abductions, crop circles, all that sort of thing. The abduction, the accounts were interesting, and these people, so far as we could tell, were ordinary people who genuinely believed that they'd had these experiences. But there's still so much we don't know about the human mind that it was very difficult to tell. For example, where is the line between a physically observable experience and something that's so real, but is just an incredibly vivid hallucination or something like that? That's not to say these people are crazy. They're not. But as I say, we still don't know how the mind really works. And unfortunately, unlike with the UFO reports, we didn't have things like videos, radar data. We just had the testimony. Testimony is important, but it doesn't quite get you as far as for example, the videos that you've got. Yeah,
and back to crop circles. I mean, essentially, we're all just trying to disprove this. Is there a reasonable explanation for crop circles most of the time?
Yes, there is. Most of those formations, beautiful though they are, intricate though they are
man-made?
Are made by they're made by people.
Yeah,
and very kind of a lot of times it's university students playing a prank on a warm summer's night, probably having a few cold ones out in the fields, having fun, and doing it actually quite sophisticated with like night vision goggles they take out sometimes and GPS equipment. So it's really meticulously planned. But I'm not convinced that's aliens. I'd love to be wrong, but
yeah. And back to the technology with aliens. There's a lot of debate on whether we should be sending messages out into the universe, whether we should be trying to contact them for fear that maybe we contact an alien. They're not here to help us. They're here to hurt us. So. But we've seen all this technology. We've seen them flying around at massive amounts of speed. So is it safe to say that, us contacting aliens is a good idea? Is it safe to say that they have good intentions, that they're nice? Because I would think if they had that kind of technology right now, they could probably do some damage, I would think.
Yes, if we're being visited and if they're hostile, I think it's game over. We couldn't, even though Hollywood loves this, we probably couldn't deal with an alien invasion. It would be like when there's an old Stephen Hawking quote. He said alien contact would be like when the European explorers met the Native Americans, only this time we'd be the Native Americans.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
It only takes one so-called super predator species out there in the universe, and we're in big trouble. But your question really gets to the heart of a real debate that scientists are having, and I've see people at scientific conference get quite heated about this. A lot of people say, speaking to your question, it's probably we should keep our heads down if there are hostile civilizations out there. But a bunch of other people say it's too late because our radio and our TV broadcasts have been leaking out for decades, and the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah,
we can't hide.
Yeah, the Earth is what, like 4.5 billion years old. The universe is 13 or 14, and it's ever expanding. I mean, are you a pretty firm believer that there's other worlds out there and there's other species of aliens or humans or something out there?
Absolutely. And I think the chances that there being just one other species are as tiny as the chance that we're alone. One scientific paper about a year ago estimated, and the amazing thing is that they said this is a lowball estimate, said there might be 72 trillion civilizations in the universe.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing to think. And hopefully, like the James Webb Space Telescope, might just help us find them.
Yeah, Earth is getting close. The sun's getting hotter. So, at some point, Earth is probably going to burn up or something's going to happen. So, in these billions of years of the universe expanding, it's hard not to think that there's another civilization out there that's somewhere, or there's another civilization that, has been extinct now and they've been gone for billions of years. It's a big place that we can't even really fathom how big it is.
Sure, and you're right. The sun will expand and Earth will be burned up. And so at some stage, if the human race and all the other biodiversity on life on Earth is to survive, we are going to need to travel elsewhere. Firstly, in our own solar system, but ultimately to the stars. And we need the technology for viable interstellar travel. The good news is that maybe we can get a helping hand. There, as you say, in a universe nearly 14 billion years old, who knows? There could be civilizations out there with a billion years head start on us. And there's a great quote. Well, there's a great quote by Arthur C. Clarke, and he said, any sufficiently advanced technology will be indistinguishable from magic. And that's what we could be dealing with.
Oh, very, very, very easily we could be able to. And there could be UFOs. There's lots of reports out there of people, claiming that, aliens have been in our civilization, have helped us, invent things and kind of push our civilization along a little bit.
Yes. TV shows like Ancient Aliens tapping into that belief of astronaut theorists who think that a lot of human creativity has been inspired by our wanting to emulate the gods who these people, some people think those ancient gods or some of the ancient were visiting extraterrestrials. Who knows? I'm on the show. I think it's a great, fun, what if piece of speculation. And it's one of those great things. If just one of those stories is true, it's world changing in its implication. With all of this, the skeptics have to be right every day. The believers only need to be right once.
Yeah, exactly. That's so true. And you were talking about all the new information that's coming out. 60 Minutes did a thing. there's been Netflix documentaries, there've been all kinds of things. And, there's one of them out there that, he claims that Area 51, he saw an autopsy of an alien. There's a spaceship there. I mean, do you think there's any truth to that? I mean, is the U.S. government hiding certain things like that?
Well, some people think that a UFO really did crash at Roswell in 1947. And if that's true, I guess the wreckage had to go somewhere. And I've heard, you've probably heard them too, these persistent rumors that there is wreckage and hardware and other bits and pieces. I mean, I don't know about the aliens, the story, the autopsy. I mean, I think one of those films is a fairly famous hoax, but sometimes there's no smoke without fire. Yeah. And you got to wonder with all these rumors, like whether some of it's true. And there was this guy, Bob Lazar, claimed to have worked at Area 51. One of the fascinating things about Bob Lazar is he was talking about this thing called Element 115. And a lot of people said, well, there is no Element 115. And then years after he came out with this, it was actually synthesized for a few nanoseconds in a laboratory in Russia somewhere. So it does make one wonder with some of these stories. On the other hand, who knows? If I was doing this for the government still, to throw people off the trail, every now and then I might kind of throw in some stories which sound so crazy that people will just walk away. And so who knows?
Well, I mean, what is the purpose of Area 51?
Well, the Area 51, I mean, it certainly exists. Yeah. I've been, well, not in, but I've been right up to it for a TV show that we shot. I don't know if you remember that whole Let's Storm Area 51 internet meme 3 years ago. I mean, obviously storming any military base is an absolute no-no. Do not do it under any circumstances. They will shoot. So,
well, I mean, and that's my point. Like, if there's something there that they're protecting.
But I think it's the next. I mean, with most of what's going on at Area 51, I think is just the testing of next generation aircraft and drones and things like that. And history tells us that is where the U.S. government tested some of those iconic spy planes like the U-2 and the SR-71 Blackbird, and more recently Stealth Fighter and Stealth Bomber. And they always say that at any given time, there'll be technology out there that's, 20 years ahead of anything that'll be publicly declared. So there's probably a whole lot of black project technology at Area 51. Aliens too? I don't know. I'd like to think so. It would be. I think the world would be more interesting and fun with aliens than without.
So, I mean, do you want us to try to communicate with them and send out messages and signals? Do you think that's a good idea?
Yes, I'm of the school of thought that says that even if there are dangerous civilizations out there, it is too late. They already know about us through TV and radio. That being the case, why not? I mean, we're sending out space probes, we're looking with our telescopes, we're listening with our radio telescopes. Why not send some messages and signals too? In a sense, what we're doing is holding out the hand of friendship. And hopefully someone will hold out a hand or a tentacle and say hello back.
I agree with you. At this point, I mean, if there is something out there, they already know. We've got videos of spacecrafts and aircrafts of flying around, so they're here. And if they wanted to hurt us, they probably would have done it at this point.
I think so. So I think then the question becomes, well, can we make contact? Can we talk to these people? And if we can, what could they teach us? What could a civilization 1 billion years ahead of us maybe teach us? Somewhere out there, there'll be something like the Encyclopedia Galactica Well, that's a book I'd want to read.
That would be a cool book.
Uncut with Jay Cutler is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive helps you get a great rate on car insurance, even if it's not with them. They have this nifty comparison tool that puts rates side by side, so you choose a rate and coverages that work for you. Say you're interested in lowering your rate on your car insurance, visit Progressive.com to get a quote with all the coverages you want. You'll see Progressive's rate, and then their tool will provide options from other companies, all lined up and easy to compare. So that all you have to do is choose the rate and coverages you like. Progressive gives you options so you can make the best choice for you. You could be looking forward to saving money in the near future. More money for, say, a pair of noise-canceling headphones, an Instapot, more puzzles, whatever brings you joy. Get a quote today at Progressive.com. It's one small step you can do today that can make a big impact on your budget tomorrow. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
You know, with all, like you said earlier, with all the information we've got over the last couple of years, what is happening in the UFO space and the alien space right now?
Well, I think it's interesting. It's gone a little bit quiet. And one of the reasons it's gone quiet is that Congress is now working with the Pentagon on how to take this forward. I think for too long, the mindset in the US government was this kind of skeptical, it can't be, so it isn't, and we won't bother looking. Well, now everyone's woken up. Yeah. Everyone's seen those videos. Everyone's listened to the pilots, the radar operators, the intelligence officers who've run these programs. And now it's like we've got their attention. And so Congress is working with the Pentagon, and behind closed doors, they're trying to figure out, you know, how can we get better data on this, and what do we do about it? And part of the answer to that first question is that we bring in the scientific community much more. So people like Professor Avi Loeb at Harvard University, he runs this thing called the Galileo Project. You know, let's get the scientists involved too. And I think it's only when everyone puts their heads together on this that we've got a much better chance of solving the mystery. So I think that's what's going on. But I think 2022 is going to be crucial. And of course, the other thing is that if history tells us anything about this subject, it's that suddenly and unexpectedly, we may have some bombshell revelation. Maybe it's a whistleblower, or maybe it's an event. I mean, something on the scale of Roswell or the Phoenix Lights or any of these big iconic cases. So, you know, who knows what tomorrow will bring?
That's a great point. Do you think that, you know, our technology's gotten better because we seem to have more, more of these experiences, interactions, or, you know, than we had in the 50s, 60s, 70s? Or do you think that, you know, aliens and UFOs are showing up more these days than they did 50 years ago?
It could be a bit of both, but if you asked me to go down on one side or the other, I'd pick the first. I think our telescopes are so much bigger and better. Our radar systems, our satellites, I mean, we can now do things that we could only dream about a few years ago. And it's like the curve of technological advance is exponential. I mean, if you look at, say, something like computer processing power, it's gone from those clunky old machines that would take hours to boot up to you know, unimaginable speed and power of computer processing. And I think that now we just have in our hands tools that we simply couldn't even conceive of a few decades ago. And I think that's making it, we're now able to see these things and track these things. It was only the willpower to actually look in the first place that was lacking. But now we've got the will and the tools. It's game on.
Let's do it. Are there instances of astronauts seeing UFOs in space?
There are some, but it's very difficult to untangle. I mean, people even say that Buzz Aldrin has seen something. I think when he's interviewed about it, he tends to be quite skeptical and says, "Oh, it was probably just one of the booster rockets falling away and catching the sunlight."
Yeah.
But one or two astronauts have seen things. I think John Glenn saw something. McDivitt or McCavitt, sorry, I forget the name. But some of them have. But, there's a lot of rumors and stories that are, I think, a little bit exaggerated too. Sometimes some of the more colorful characters in the UFO community kind of get hold of some of these stories and it spirals out of control.
Yeah.
But I think now we've got things like Hubble and James Webb and the International Space Station. It's like we've got more opportunities to see these things. I really think our generation will be the generation that finds out the truth about this. And
I hope so.
What could be a bigger and more profound question than are we alone or not in the universe? And just imagine getting that answer.
That'd be amazing. Speaking of astronauts, did the U.S. land on the moon?
Yes.
100%.
100%. I mean, I think there are a number of really kind of watertight scientific proofs of that. Firstly, I think the moon rocks that they brought back have been looked at by so many geologists, and they're different in sort of chemical isotopes because the moon doesn't have the atmosphere that the Earth does. So there are differences that geologists can prove. Also, one of the big pieces of proof is that some of the astronauts actually left up there basically a laser reflector, which pretty much anyone at university level with lasers can bounce a laser off this thing and it reflects back.
Really?
And they can to measure the distance between the Earth and the Moon, because the moon is drifting away from the Earth about 1.5 millimeters each year, something like that. But
Really?
and you can measure it. So they left stuff on the moon and a whole bunch of other things.
Huh.
I
did not know that.
100% believe we went to the moon.
Okay. I did read you're one of the world's experts on conspiracy theories.
And I have to say, I'm skeptical on most of them,
Okay.
but not all of them, because my thinking is always don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Some history shows us some conspiracies are true. Absolutely.
JFK.
No, I tend to think that was just a lone gunman.
Really?
I think, yeah, I know.
mean,
I'm
there's
not
a-
going to be popular.
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there that, the CIA did it. This was a whole thing. I mean, and you're on the lone gunman side.
I'm on the lone gunman side, but yeah, CIA. I mean, a lot of people hated JFK. Some elements in the U.S. political establishment, the Soviet Union, of course, the mafia, for all sorts of reasons. But I still think it was Lee Harvey Oswald.
Really? Okay, I'm hitting with another one then. The government controlling the weather.
That's a more complicated one.
Tell me.
Because at limited level, we do already have a low kind of tech weather control. So, for example, you can drop iodine crystals into clouds and make it rain, and there are examples for with the Olympics. I think the Russians some years ago were kind of cloud seeding so that it wouldn't rain or snow in the wrong place, that sort of thing. So we kind of have it at a limited level. And if people search on the term geoengineering, you'll find quite a lot of scientific papers talking about this. Now, I'm not sure it goes quite as far as as some conspiracy theorists think, but we are beginning to get that ability, and of course it raises some frightening possibilities because, like, take a good example. One thing you might want to do with good weather control is if you've got a Cat 5 hurricane barreling down on Miami, you might want to turn that hurricane. Yeah. But what if you just turn it away from Miami and it hits another city? Yeah. Who decides, who makes that call?
Yeah, you're playing God at that point.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, if you could absolutely turn it around and just put it over the empty ocean, fine. Yeah. But then got that technology, you're dangerously close to having a weather weapon, which would be a almost deniable asset to have.
Exactly.
And if you can send a Cat 5 hurricane at another country,
North Korea.
Not good.
Yeah. Chemtrails.
No, I'm skeptical on that one.
Are you?
I remember when they used to be called vapor trails, and I've seen them since I was a kid. And I think, look, here's my problem with chemtrails. I mean, if you look at how low a crop spraying aircraft has to fly, for it to have, these people, they kind of fly at about 20 feet.
Yeah.
And if they don't, it has no effect. So if anyone thinks anything is going to happen if you start spraying at 35,000 feet, I mean, it just doesn't work.
That's a solid point. All right, another one. Is there gold in Fort Knox?
Yeah, I think so. But in these days of paper money and now cryptocurrency, gold will probably be irrelevant. It's all going to be non-fungible tokens and all this kind of bitcoins and NFTs and who knows? It's all you don't actually. I mean, paper money, I guess, was invented that people literally didn't have to carry around their gold and risk getting robbed. But paper money is worthless. It's just all about a kind of the confidence of having the deal that you would be paid if you ever called that debt in. Yeah. But no one does call the debt in. So no. in a sense, the whole money thing is a little bit of a con in and of itself.
It really is.
I don't know. People far brighter than me have written books on fiscal policy, and I don't get it.
Do you dabble in the crypto world?
I don't. I guess I should. Somebody sent me a non-fungible token in the shape of an alien, I think. And who knows? Maybe I should be looking at that. Maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe in a few years' time when we do our groceries, maybe we'll have gone beyond, it'll be, you pull out some cash, it'll be, what's that? You pull out a credit card, it'll be, what's that? It'll be, hey, get out your smartphone and give me a non-fungible token, and then you can get your groceries.
Yeah, crypto and NFT and the whole thing it's too much for me. All right, I got two more for you. Do you know anything about the Denver airport?
Well, I've been there and I love those. I know it's all very kind of Illuminati, New World Order, all that stuff. I mean, if I was in the Illuminati...
Yeah, are you?
And I had a secret base under an airport somewhere, I probably wouldn't go writing my kind of Illuminati stuff for people to go, hey, look, I would do it as a distraction. So I would put my Illuminati symbols at Denver airport, and I would hide the real secret underground Illuminati base somewhere totally different.
It's actually really genius. It makes me think you're in the Illuminati, Nick.
Just a candidate member.
All right, back here. Princess Di. Ooh.
It's a sad one, but I think, you know what? There were 4 people in that car. The car was speeding. There is pretty good evidence that the driver had been drinking, and the one person who was wearing the seatbelt actually walked away and survived. The 3 that weren't, I think we sometimes think we can't conceive that one of the most famous and iconic people in the world could just be cut down by something as simple as
car crash.
speeding in a car without having the seatbelt on. But sadly, it happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
I think, I think it was just a tragic accident.
That makes sense. I mean, because it does happen all the time. You can look at, Kobe Bryant in a helicopter crash. I mean, it's happened for as long as we've been around. So what are you up to now?
Well, I'm doing a lot of filming right now. Some new episodes coming up of Ancient Aliens, which everyone loves. Some season 3 of The Basement Office, which is a great series that I do with Stephen Greenstreet from the New York Post. Some other things too, which are still in the pipeline. And as always with this, a lot of behind the scenes work, trying to move the ball a little bit further down the field. Some media work. Talk to a lot of journalists. I talk to journalists almost every week about this. Some in the tabloids, but some in the newspapers, and just try and keep this subject in the public eye and say to people, look, I don't care whether you're a believer or a skeptic or somewhere in the middle, but this is a defense and national security issue, and let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, do you think that, that these governments should have a plan in place for this, for defense and for, security reasons?
Yes. It's crazy not to have a plan. Governments have plans for all sorts of things that are maybe not particularly likely.
Yeah.
I mean, they have contingency plans for huge solar flares that might knock out all the satellites. They have contingency plans. They're starting to think, for example, about what would we do if a giant asteroid was heading for the Earth? Yeah. Could we deflect it with nuclear weapons or something else? So why not have a plan for alien contact?
Totally agree. Have you seen a UFO?
Sadly, I haven't. I know it's great irony that when I was doing this for the British government at the Ministry of Defense, I investigated hundreds of sightings over the years in a private capacity, probably thousands of people, UFO sightings, abduction experiences, all the weird and wonderful things that people report. Never seen anything myself, never experienced anything particularly weird. In a way, that's good because it kind of keeps me even-handed, that I don't go in with preconceived beliefs and agendas. But would I like to see one? Hell yeah.
So would I. I hope you do. I got, what is it? Nick Pope, MOD on Twitter. Is that you?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
All right. So check out Nick on Twitter. Look for him. Anything alien UFO related. One last question. So I'm pretty firm believer in this, but you're pretty positive that there's UFOs and aliens out there.
Oh, they're out there for sure.
Yeah.
In this infinite, wonderful universe, how could we possibly be alone?
I totally agree. I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, great. I really enjoyed our conversation.
So did I. Thank you. You have a great day.
You too. Bye now.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, that is a wrap. Nick Pope was a good one. He believes, I think I believe, aliens, UFOs. It's hard not to. A lot of unanswered questions, though, still at this point, because we have videos. We don't have any proof. We don't, or at least I don't, and the rest of the world doesn't. Maybe Area 51 or the government or someone knows some stuff. But I enjoyed that one. I enjoyed that one a lot. So hit me up, Instagram, Twitter. I think we got some. I think we're gonna be talking metaverse and NFTs and some of that stuff. We dabbled in that with Nick, but that's coming down the pipeline. Anything else you want to hear about? Hit me up, and we're gonna keep this train going on. Appreciate it.